All right, so I have it recorded. You're able to find it later, you know. But it's not letting me share it.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, I want to. All right, Mike, I think we're good.
All right.
Mike, we're ready when you are.
Oh, okay. You ready? Let's call this meeting to order. I believe it's meeting number 5. It is the clock. You took the clock down.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
7.
fell off the wall when we were doing this.
It is 7:11, 7:12. I guess we're going to start with presentations by Kevin, and I forgot her name.
It'll be myself, Nicole, and Emily.
Okay, and Emily also from Barton Lago Beach. We'll start with the Gate Street Recreation Area Master Plan. Right.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. I will give a very brief overview of what we've been up to and then turn it over, like I said, before the meeting started. Emily has been helping both Nicole and I in the preparation of this document. So I'd like to give her an opportunity to, discuss with you what she's been doing. And again, she's been working in a support role, and I think it's important for her to get, the exposure of, what we've been talking about. And then to hear some of the feedback directly, and then, we can go into more detail or less detail as it goes. Like I said, before the meeting started, there's some typos, some minor nuances here that as I went through it today, I intend on fixing. Also some modifications to the cost estimate. We've made a lot of inroads since our last meeting. There's still some tweaks I want to make it a little more user friendly to get through those costs. Understanding, kind of putting yourself in a reader's shoe of what they're looking to get out of this document. I want to make sure though that cost estimate, and then starting to prioritize some of these if the committee chooses to. I want to make sure all of that is kind of front and center when somebody opens the document. What are we looking for them to get out of it? So kind of on a high level, those are the things, kind of recurring themes that I'll plan to circle back to. But at this point, like I said, I'd like to turn it over to Emily for a few minutes. I said, 5-10 minutes to go through what she's been up to for the past couple of months that have gotten this draft document. What was yours, Emily?
Sure. Okay, I put these headphones on. Hopefully you guys can still hear me clearly. Yeah.
Yes.
And then is it okay if I share my screen so that we can see the report? Okay, I also see that you guys maybe have copies of the report in front of you. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah, so like Kevin said, him, Nicole, and I have all been working together to put together this master plan. And a lot of the documents within it should be pretty familiar, or what we've seen through the process of putting this together. So first you'll see the table of contents, which outlines all of the different components of the document. And then we move into an introduction, and this just kind of acknowledges what the purpose and use of a master plan report is. It shows the project schedule that we ended up following, and then it acknowledges everyone that had been included in the report process. And then we jump into the existing conditions of the site. So it gives a little description of the location of the Gate Street Recreation Area and all the different amenities that it currently has. And then below it, you can kind of see a geographic context map. So it starts with Connecticut and then brings you all the way to a focus of the Gate Street Recreation Area to give viewers who maybe, if they're not as familiar with the area, an understanding of the location within Connecticut. And then we have the site analysis document that we put together way in the beginning of the process, which identifies all of the existing conditions, and just an analysis of how the site all works together. And then from that, an additional page that we have are just challenges and opportunities that are an overall focus of what was taken from the site analysis. And so 5 main categories that we took out were just facilities improvement, circulation, vegetation, programming, and connection. And this dives a little bit deeper from the site analysis map. And then afterwards, there's the site opportunities map that was developed from all the site analysis and also recognizing the challenges and opportunities from the site. And then we have a section recognizing the public participation within the report. Just because we know that a crucial part of putting the whole thing together is our interaction with the community of Voluntown and also users of the Gate Street Recreation Area. That's the main, how we came to all of our conclusions. So it's important to have that noted. And so we note the committee meetings that had taken place and then also the public meeting that was held. And then within that is just some photos showing the president vision boards that we had put together as well. And then the next one dives a little bit deeper into explaining the master plan process, and a little bit of a more in-depth description of how to use a master plan report. And then the next page shows the concept plan that was put together. And the concept plan that was developed from all of the stages before it, which we had already outlined, the site analysis and then the challenges and opportunities. And then from here, this is, I would say, maybe a newer portion that is less familiar to the committee. So all the pages afterwards show the different broken up priority projects. And it's important to note also that right now they are in no particular order. So just because one is at the front of the different series of how they're broken up doesn't mean it's more important than the other projects. And so you'll see that each of them have a little description of what is included in the broken out section, and the reason why they're included. And then below it also shows the cost estimate. So when we had originally viewed the cost estimate, it was all in just one PDF, even though they still had their categories. This time it's just broken out section by section instead of being one long document. So we have the new playground section, and then the one afterwards is the expanded parking area and boat launch drive. And these also have kind of a more zoomed in look of the design in the concept plan. And then also there's some precedent images or some existing condition images, whatever was most applicable. And then we have the pavilion and new bathroom section, the fenced in dog park, the bicycle skills park, the sports courts, the pedestrian walking paths through the park, and then the other sidewalks along the Gate Street. And then we have the view shed section, which includes the overlook. And then a community garden section. And then these 4 on page, or these 3 on page 29 didn't have a page dedicated to each one just because they're a bit smaller than the rest of them. and these happen scattered through the concept plan rather than being all in one location. So we have just the family picnic area, site landscaping, and the rain garden and pollinator gardens. And then the final section is just the next steps. So now that you have the document, what do you do with it? And then it also lists the potential funding sources. So all of the different programs that you could potentially go for with this document. And Kevin put together this list of funding sources. And then also to note, having all the separate projects on different pages is nice because you can, if you're interested in just doing one of the projects, you could always take a page out from this whole document that is that one specific project and use it towards a certain funding source. So that's why we keep them all separate like that as well. And then we just end it with a nice quote from the Strong National Museum of Plate. And that is just a quick overview of the whole report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, should I keep this up?
If you would,
Yeah.
couldn't hurt if we needed to bring up a certain page.
Sure.
I think my initial takeaway is the flexibility that a document like this offers.
I really like the way it's built.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, Mike. I appreciate that, everyone. That was our hope, was to say, you know, you really could pull a page out of this and there's still a story to be told on the page. If somebody doesn't have to invest 2 hours to read through, you know, a text heavy 60-page document to try and find a punchline. You know, the intent here is to say, you know, as we did for the connectivity grant that got submitted late last month, we were able to pull a page out of this and easily insert it into that grant application. And that, you know, that's the intent moving forward. You know, not knowing what the next grant is going to be specifically. Like Emily said, each one of those pages really could act as a separate slick sheet that goes right into an application.
Yeah, clarity is very, very important in this community. And I think the way you broke it down is going to help. It's going to be very helpful.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, cost and, you know, utilization too. Yeah.
You know, and kind of driving home those points is to say, what do you have now? What do you need in the future? How's it going to be used and how's it going to be paid for?
Right.
You know, and if you can hit each one of those in a talking point in the first couple sentences, you haven't lost the person you're talking to.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and that's, there's so much potential right here. And to be able to say, we're not going to do this all at once, but okay, fingers crossed, the connectivity grant that went in late July, that was $800,000 nut of sidewalks in the community, in the park, a walking trail on the eastern half of the park. If that comes to fruition, that can be the first check on the checkbox, is to say, no, this is actionable. So, you know, I want to also make sure that it's not overly simplified, but from our perspective, as we were going back through this, I thought, no, it feels, it kind of passes the gut check. It feels
Sure does.
like there's enough meat in here. You know, we have all the backup, we have all the data, but it's not, you don't have to get through that, you know, charts and graphs and stuff to get to the finished product. You know, a couple of questions I have specifically in regards to that format is, I'm torn between the format here of the priority projects. Do we put a priority to them? Do we say this is the first
I was
priority?
thinking exactly the same thing.
Sometimes, I think, sometimes it depends on the cost too, like there might, like there's a steep grant application that's due like on Friday and we haven't applied for anything yet. It's $500,000, so sometimes the priority, not just the priority, but based on like what fits the budget for the project, because some of the grants are only a certain amount, and so you would have to fit what would fit the amount.
We
too.
can find out that information, can we not?
Well, when the grants come out, they come out with an amount, so, but it's not. Come up, they're just like the steep grant last time was for $300,000, this time it's for $500,000.
And
So like my idea would be to do the playground, because they're already outdated and they need to be done soon. So we would do the playgrounds, and then the other thing that's not even on here is the water system to the field, because before we even,
Yeah, you need to start from the bottom.
yeah, and I don't even know how much
Baseline
that
together.
would cost.
Right.
So would that cost like 200,000, or like would it cost less? Like I have to know.
And in the meantime, it would still benefit the existing facility.
Both of it, yeah, so that would be, I'll be talking to John about it tomorrow, he's gonna kill me, cause I have been working on like 5 million applications, and he's gonna be like, don't even give me another one, it's due on Friday, and I haven't started yet. So, and I thought it was required to have a matching fund for this grant, but it's recommended, not required, and I don't know if we have any money to go towards matching for it right now. Unless some of it comes from like the Gate Street Fund or like something like that.
I don't know if we can really promise that much
Right,
as far as the contribution from the
Right.
Gate Street Fund. I mean,
So
we've
like-
been trying real hard over the course of time, but these budgets are,
yeah,
Pretty
so I don't
steep
know
are.
if we would have anything to go for the matching, but one of the things I would suggest would be the local playgrounds, which was what, like, 2 something?
Yeah, it's like 200. Yeah.
Would be like that, and then like the water, get the water from here to there, which I don't think that would cost that crazy amount, but I needed some kind of amount by Friday, to like ask for.
so you are gonna ask him to put something together based
Well,
on
we
this,
we have a
based on.
bunch of different ideas floating around for different projects too, but this would be what I'd recommend for. this.
I agree with you on the playgrounds.
Yeah.
Specifically, if we do go for a grant for with the connectivity situation and
Mhm.
the sidewalks are accepted.
Yep.
It would be a perfect match.
Yeah, if we could get an early win, that,
Yeah.
everyone would really love that.
And we need to update those. They're
They do,
different.
yeah, they're 20 years old,
Yeah.
it's time, it's
So I would want that to be the first.
talk to Brian, he knows all.
We're running out of.
You're working your tail off last year.
Can you get this? Can you get that?
Yeah.
And I think that becomes ranking these, putting priorities to them.
Yeah.
I've found myself backpedaling in the past on other projects where if you rank, properties 1 through 5, well, then property 8 comes on the market. And then you're back in front of a public presentation going, well, why wasn't this number 1? Why are you saying it's number 1 now? Well, because it's available now.
Available,
Yeah.
yeah.
Funding now, we don't have, we don't have the funding for the other project to fit the other project.
Well, the
but-
beauty of this format is it is broken down that way, and it's not the huge lump sum that everybody gets afraid of.
No,
It makes more sense going forward to have an idea of what the grants that are available. And we can pick and choose whether logistically it works.
Yeah.
And I think Tracy's definitely right about the playgrounds. I
Yep.
think you're definitely right about that. They seem to get the most focus
Mhm.
and it would mean the most going, for the initial start,
Mhm.
especially if that connectivity grant works out.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
Good money.
format wise, one item that is on my short list is say, okay, these cost estimates are very specific dollar amounts. I want to eliminate that, just say round numbers, maybe
Yeah.
1,000 years.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
just,
that's gonna
yeah.
change.
it's gonna change. So give us some float there. And then the appendix to this would have our complete cost estimate broken, the breakdown we presented last month, where it's soup to nuts, top to bottom with a bottom figure. That'll be in an appendix in this, so that if you need to drill into the details, it'll be there, for people that want to focus in. But to have these 1-pagers to be kind of an overview of, general, this is the, 2-paragraph elevator pitch for what it is, why we need it, this is the cost, moving on. And then to have kind of the appendix, the nuts and bolts and the things that, okay, some of the base mapping we've done, some of the, the mapping that show the FEMA, the flood elevations and the natural diversity databases and you know, the state properties, those kind of the easy to compile kind of GIS level mapping. Just to kind of substantiate our master plan of doing why, you know, what we did and why we did it.
So going forward now, this, I just want everybody to understand that, maybe you already know this. This is a broad spectrum development, you know, when in fact we do get funding for this, it has to go for design. So that's associated costs as well.
Yeah, I think.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's engineering that has to go into
The
this.
design was included in the
Yep.
amount.
Yep,
Well, maybe with the connectivity grant, it appears it is.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
like the rest of it, there's going to be additional funding that has to be available for design
I
itself.
think it's included in their estimate.
so we- yep, so,
Is it included?
so we
Yeah.
built in a 15% design fee
Okay,
in those numbers.
okay.
You know, recognizing that, you know, we built that into 2023 numbers as well as, you know, a contingency number, and then we put in design numbers.
Okay.
So, again, this is still, you know, a dart at the wall, because it's, you know, we don't have that final design, but what we're anticipating is we do have design fees built into that.
Cause I looked at that when I thought about using the playground, when I was trying to think of the cost.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
design fees were in there.
Good.
Probably do a little bit over just for, just in case, but
Right,
like probably 300 for the playground.
yep,
How available are you for design?
we're available. I mean, the intent here, I mean, really,
You'll hold you to 15%. Yeah, you're probably right.
but the intent here is everything is designable and constructible.
Mhm.
You know, it's not, you know, it's not the big picture kind of where, you know, I think the great thing about this team, both Nicole and Emily and I, you know, we're in the trenches building things. You know, we get what it takes. If this isn't a pretty picture that we're gonna walk out of Allentown and say, you know, here, this is something that could be built in, you know, downtown Boston or, you know, downtown, you know, Farmington, if you will. It's- I think they're kind of pragmatic approaches. And I think the connectivity grant, you know, to that point, the sidewalk component along Gate Street is, you know, there is a final design on that. So the design fee of the Gate Street portion of that grant is already taken care of by the contract that, you know, that we currently have with the town. You know, there'll be additional design fees elsewhere on the other sidewalks, you know, out of the park. But the intent here is, you know, when, you know, we carried a day of survey to survey out Gate Street for the sidewalk. In doing that, I also had our crew pick up enough shots on the perimeter so that you know, that multi-use pathway that's in that grant.
It's inclusive.
Yeah, I'll say that's kind of an 80% design,
Yeah.
where it doesn't take a lot to get that finished. So,
Yeah, and we're gonna wanna get the water across the road before we do the sidewalk.
mhm.
Yeah.
One item going through my notes from last month, we had talked about putting a number in for irrigation and overseeding on the large multi-use field. That didn't make it into this, so there's gonna be one more sheet, if you will, that shows, you know,
Project.
improvements of existing fields. You know, so there'll be an additional number in there. And basically, we could
Yeah, I
put
need
it,
to know who to call for an estimate. I don't know.
Does that include mechanical pump
Yeah.
house, et cetera?
exactly, so that's where we'll put that number in.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, recognizing if that's, you know, depending on what it looks like for the steep grant.
You can get it to me before Friday.
Right. That's a problem.
TikTok.
Yeah,
Not like that, I don't know.
I'm on vacation.
so, yeah, so there'll be one more sheet.
And not for nothing, like a panel of sidewalk to be removed and replaced is not the end of the world. You know, it's a 5-foot section of sidewalk or a 4-foot section of sidewalk. It's small cost. If this grant gets accepted and we don't have a design,
Okay.
it's not a big deal.
No.
You know, the trench in the road is what it is. The
Okay.
sidewalk getting removed, that's $1,000.
Not as bad as the.
$1,000.
across the road.
No, no, it's
And
not.
I'm
a-
just thinking if I like tell the guys I'm gonna put a pipe across the road after they just paved it, it's gonna be like, oh, no, we're not doing that.
Right, they're gonna have to get over it.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to get over it.
100 people.
There are other things that are governing the time clock here,
Yeah.
so if it does happen, it can be dealt with very easily.
So our hope is to take this, again, it's still in draft form, so take the comments that, we've been talking about here, some of the ideas, some of the things that I've said I've noticed. But to be able to package this into a final document and to say, okay, it's now landed, and then, go forth and, and provide, those, that assistance for grant opportunities and Tracy working with yourself and John and moving forward. I'm always happy to spend some creative writing with John, so that's a
I think the rec commission is gonna love this.
good.
And I think the town, if we have enough information and we
Yep.
describe it in this piecemeal type situation.
Yep.
Grant money. I think it'll work. I think it'll work. I think it's put together very well, very well,
Great,
very well.
very glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's our goal from day one, so it's nice to say, okay, it's,
It's a little daunting to the public right off the bat, and
Yeah.
then you see it, like,
You just look at numbers.
yeah, they look at numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just to be forewarned.
They look at numbers
As soon as
without
they see
being
those numbers,
aware of the resources available,
Exactly.
you know.
because they don't understand grants.
But to the
Yeah.
most of the people in
That's right.
town that use the park, this is gonna be an asset.
It's gonna be
for everybody.
Huge
you know,
asset.
so-
Right.
Huge asset.
And again, if we can get those early wins. If we
Yeah,
can
it
start.
helps get some
They see progress.
momentum.
Yeah, they're
Things
gonna
are
like,
happening.
oh, things are going on.
Skybox and a couple of new playscapes would do wonders just to get the ball
That's
rolling.
right.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Absolutely,
Sure.
absolutely. And some irrigation for the soccer field.
Uh-huh.
Right. So no more mugwort, is that what they call it?
I don't know, but it's pretty green out there right now.
Oh, yeah, that was up on the steps.
Yeah.
That flower.
No, that was Queen Anne's Lace and Taylor.
Okay, yeah.
But no, up there, if you ever sat on the steps and just looked to the side there, they used to be beautiful flame colored, miniature shrubs up there.
Mhm.
They put in a whole ton of them. They were beautiful.
Hmm,
They're gone
choked out,
between the weed whacker,
yeah.
because you can't get them mow.
And they got stuff to do, they gotta go, knock it down.
Yeah.
But that has to be gotten out of the.
That's
Like
me.
they're all tired.
I'm just like, man, just get it out of here.
Do you have any more comments on the master plan? Cause I can't wait to present it to the rec commission. I can't wait.
That's,
I almost wish it were 2 weeks ago because they'd be jumping backwards right now.
no, everything, that's everything on us. We've got a little bit more to wrap up, but, give us, 1 to 2 weeks to package up a final document, and that's, that'll be a kind of a self-sustaining document at that point. So, that's everything from our end. We're very, very happy with how things have turned
You
out.
guys have worked hard and put a lot of hours into this for sure.
Yeah, it was,
A lot of hours into it.
and again, to that point, people don't understand what it takes to get the document to, it's a heavy lift to make it an easy to read document. So,
There's what we need here, and there's so much more that we can build on.
Just breaking everything down in the math that's inclusive to each item.
Yeah.
That takes time. It takes a lot of time.
so,
Okay,
yeah,
so should we move on to the connectivity grant,
absolutely.
program? I think personally, I mean, this is just my opinion. This is what's going to catch the eyes of people. This is what's gonna, they're gonna see movement.
Yep.
I think there's already been talk. People know about it in town. This is going to, is gonna start the momentum, I believe, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is the connectivity grant situation, the sidewalks.
Yeah. And the fact that it's covered by a grant and they're not shelling out money to make this happen. I mean, that just shows right there that there are grants available, there's monies available. People put forth the effort and these things can be covered.
And the price tag on this is not exponential either. It's not,
No,
it's pretty normal, pretty normal.
it is, and like I said initially, I don't know if the meeting had started at that point or not, but just talking about the connectivity grant program itself. It is a program administered by DOT that is really designed for these connections. It's designed to make kind of connect the gaps in sidewalk systems
Mhm.
and make connections into areas where people want to be. One of the big charges is connecting pieces and parts of a community, is to say, okay, looking at this, we're infilling sidewalks on 165 on Preston City Road, and then connecting into the Gate Street complex. We're proving that we have final design of the sidewalk ready on Gate Street, and then now we're making a loop around that eastern portion of the complex. There is that component of you're connecting in recreation, you're connecting in schools, you're connecting in existing, sidewalks that we're filling the gaps to. I think this is we have a real good shot on this one. And, this program historically has been very well received by the towns who are administering the money and contractors who are doing the work. I'll say I'm currently finishing one of these programs for the Colchester Green. And they have been extremely flexible in regards to, for those familiar with Colchester Green, half of it, the southern half is jurisdiction of Historical District Commission. The northern half does not. We've been working with the Historic District Commission to say, okay, we've got, cast iron light poles, we've got stone dust instead of concrete pathways.
Right.
We had a prime contractor do the bulk of the work, and then we pulled portions of that out of the prime, put allowances in so that, Carefree Small Building donated a new bus shelter. DOT was very comfortable with that.
That's huge.
And now we went out to just letter proposals, just solicited 3 bids for electric service upgrades. We didn't have to go back out to competitive bid because we were, working within the overall grant. As far as electric service upgrades to the overall park, they have been very, very good to work with. So I'm taking that win to say that something like this is not a cumbersome program to administer. I think it would work very, very well, on this project. And again, like I said earlier, the DOT administrators are very forthcoming with their comment that if we're not successful, they'll give us very pointed feedback to what would make it more successful next time.
Mhm.
And that's then something that the information we take back and reapply. These used to be kind of ad hoc. They try to do them annually. It used to be a $500,000 grant. It's now an $800,000 grant, and now said that they do have secured funding through bonding every year to make this happen on an annual basis. So now we can plan for it, kind of like the steep money, where you kind of acknowledge that it will be coming yearly, most years.
You can forecast. them.
Exactly.
Mm.
So it's one of those things that you can then kind of gain into, okay, if we are successful in the multi-use trail on the right, on the east side, well, then next year we can then kind of package the application to do additional multi-use pathways. Kind of again, to use your term, forecast. So, I'm very happy with how that application package came out. And we should know here pretty quickly. Those are usually like a 30-60 day turnaround. So,
Quick enough to get out the bid for the following construction season.
exactly.
Yeah.
So ideally, we get noticed in the fall. That's something that we can package it so that we're bidding it over the winter when contractors are hungry and looking for spring work,
You're starting in the spring.
starting in the spring. So that's the hope anyway. So I don't mean to be overly optimistic. Obviously, that's, it's a grant that's becoming more and more popular. So more and more applications, so, who's to truly know, but it's, like I said, I've had a real good, good results from this.
Now, can I make a comment here?
Mhm.
This plan is. Obviously, it's specific for grant. Application for the process. As far as details are concerned, I know, the school. Area has some problems with speeders and some other issues, trucks, etc. Now, the signage, RFBs, etc. are probably included. I imagine. I didn't really see them on the budget.
We had talked about on, this overall plan.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
So this overall plan, we had talked about an RFP on Crescent City Road. We had also talked about on previous grant rounds, what's shown in blue on that plan.
Okay,
is already under a different grant
Oh,
application.
it is, okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and we had talked about RFPs there.
Okay,
So for the connectivity grant, it's just what's in red on this plan.
okay,
So it's the sidewalk on Gate Street, it's the corridor, it's the multi-use, it's the paved multi-use pathway within the park. And then it's connecting into gaps in sidewalks on 165.
on 165.
Yep.
Has there been any thought about decorative crosswalks?
Yes, there has been.
I mean, I know the cost is exponentially more.
Yep. Yep,
It's a standoutish kind of thing.
it is. It is.
It really stands out and
They really, really do.
people slow down when they see them.
I
more
think
frequently.
that's one of those items that can be addressed during a final design perspective, that where we can lock in costs, where we're saying, okay, it's gonna get built in 24. So we can then forecast in prices and say, well, where does that leave us? And then, or use that as a bid alternate that say, the
Yeah.
the thermoplastic, crosswalks, the kind of the high dollar crosswalks. And then at least have that price to say, well, if there's money in the budget, we at least have a price from the bidders of what that's gonna be.
What do you mean by decorative crosswalks?
It's really,
It's
high-
a-
yeah,
Can I explain to her?
absolutely.
So it's an imprinted, in the asphalt crosswalk with a thermoplastic material that is actually melted into the asphalt and compacted in extreme heated. And it's stated, there's a contractor in the state of Connecticut, Rocco Gravola.
Do they
He-
come on the state roads?
He did state roads, town roads,
Oh, I
whatever,
see.
absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, he owns the market through, Jesus, I don't remember the
They
name.
blow?
Yeah, they
They're
they
the day
reflect, yeah.
too?
Nope, they reflect, so it's,
Yes, and there are many different designs.
The morning.
So
with
yeah,
the-
We don't have any in town. But a lot of towns follow a very similar pattern.
Yep.
And they stick with that pattern. You could do herringbone, you could do brick, you could do colonial brick, you could use different colors. You get on the internet and check out something HD. What is it?
I was gonna say, it's, I was
HD.
about to look that up because the,
And we don't have a lot of areas where crosswalks really
No,
should
like when
go.
I'm thinking the state road, if I could get the state to put them on the state road, if they would work,
Yeah,
or even slow down traffic.
yeah, and then they stand out like
and,
amazingly.
and I'll say a couple
What
years
is it
ago,
called?
it's a thermoplastic crosswalk, I'll forward the, and forgive me, I have,
Can't believe it. I just watched 6 of them be put in.
was gonna say, I have, they had given me a 6" by 6" sample, and I used it as my, one of my plant holders in my window, and forgive me, it's been that long since I've had to move my plant off of it, to remember what the name of the dang company is. But yeah, it's one contractor out of Waterbury that
Yeah,
effectively
it's out of
owns the market. And the work I was doing with them was in Essex, so it was a District 2 DOT rep. So it's definitely within our district, the DOT allows them. Enos Flint,
Ennis Flint, that's it, Ennis Flint.
so,
It's a really cool process and it stays forever. Like even the normal epoxy resin pavement markings they put down typically.
Yeah.
Will wear off over time. These will stay 20, 25 years. They'll outlive everybody in this room. Yeah, so it's worth the money. What's that? I'm not making him old.
Don't be so sure about that.
I know, right? Well, we already know that, right?
James is thinking, I better make a.
So I mean, I don't know the exact square footage price.
Are there any
Right.
towns that are under the happen?
Oh my God, the Chester, Essex, Haddam, Marlboro, Colchester, they all do it.
On the other side of the
They all do
bill.
it.
Yeah.
No, even on this side of the bridge, they do.
Around here?
Around Norwich does. They have that little rotary that they put in downtown Norwich, that little roundabout.
Oh, I haven't
It's
been
there,
down there
it's
yet.
there.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
they
there.
around the corner?
Yeah.
yeah,
And right in front of the school would be, I'm thinking for safety purposes,
Yeah,
right in front of the school, right in front of the town hall, maybe over by 49 or 165. The crossing that's at the Dunkin' Donuts location.
I would say,
You know, it is, and it really captures people's eyes, that they, where signs, people kind of just look by them. You can't avoid it, and it's not just the look, but it's the texture. So you go over it once, it's like, oh, what was that, you know? And you remember it's a crosswalk.
But
Exactly.
even if that'll slow people down.
I doubt it. I'm in the middle of the road. That's a-
Every effort you take is gonna be helpful.
We have
That's why I asked,
Bikes that come up through the road.
I don't think Rocco has done that.
That might help me.
First of all, you have to slow down the
I'm in the
signal.
middle of the road.
You guys are
Right by.
proud of him because he's 75 years old and he's out there every single day installing these things.
Mhm.
And he is under extremely high demand.
But you have to slow down the state cops first.
That's impressive. Yeah.
I mean, it's narrow through here and I tried to get them to widen this road through here, just a foot on either side.
Yeah.
And the property owner's like, oh my God, you can't take away. a
That's all I have.
The state wants to make it bigger.
regardless, will be no more.
Anyway, I didn't mean to go down a rabbit
Oh, no,
hole.
that's,
It
I
just-
totally agree with you.
Yeah.
No, I asked the
That's a
question.
great
A
idea.
small amount of money more, it's
It's
totally worth it. Totally worth it.
So yeah, that's, I mean, that's really it. The point to this is the application, the grant application's been in or has been submitted. This is kind of the first action item for the overall master plan, so.
I like how it meanders behind Sunny's and doesn't go in front of it.
You know, I think that,
There's sidewalk already
Yeah, here,
in the front of it, correct?
yeah,
Yeah,
but it goes, it goes,
there's no sidewalk there now.
yeah, it shows it going behind it. This is Gate Street, this is the,
There's no sidewalks on Gate Street at all.
Oh, no, okay, I'm talking Main Street.
Main
Yeah,
Street.
yeah. There'll be another crosswalk. There, that's on Gate Street, should take you behind.
yep,
There should be another one here, because there's sidewalk on this side and this side,
this is true.
yeah.
Yeah.
so.
So this was submitted prior to last month, is that what,
The 21st,
the 21st?
July 21st, yep,
When typically do you hear results?
30, 60 days, so I'm
Okay.
hoping, you know, late September.
Okay,
They've said the same thing about the steep grant that's due on Friday, that we should know by, you know, late
Yeah, it
September.
says September on that.
Yeah, so,
there could be some things happening next spring here, huh?
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Mm,
You grant usually do get it so
yeah,
Pretty cool.
That's exciting.
so, yeah, that's everything on our end. Very nice. We've got a little bit to wrap up, but get that final document to you, be able to put it on, you know, kind of website, out to Park and Rec.
Yeah.
We don't have a meeting until September, yeah, 6th,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm right.
Sounds about right.
There's a little bit of time. I don't think if it doesn't get done by then, I don't think that's a huge deal. I think what you've given us here is enough.
It's enough to present to our rec
Sure is.
committee, I think, and they'll see that. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so item 3 on the agenda, working session with community and public participation. What are our thoughts on that? Is that something like another public engagement meeting? Throw it out there, put it on the sign, whatever. I don't know. How does that usually work from your end?
There's a number of different ways to go about it. You could, you know, kind of rally the troops around something like this. We could talk about Park and Rec meeting, you know, upcoming Park and Rec meeting. Just to say, okay, then, you know, you are a, you know, subcommittee of a whole. Well, then this is the, you know, this is the work we've done. This is, you know, a final presentation. Kind of loop them back into the process.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, that's something very typical. You know, part of our selectmen's meeting we've done before. It could be kind of strategically where are we going to get the most feedback, recognizing that the document will be completed at that point. So we want to have that be you were with us in the beginning, you attended the March working session with us. This is what we've been doing, and now here's the finished product.
I think that's a really good idea. Maybe we can use our platform and our rec meeting. Well, maybe we have a meeting before that and then have another one specifically if you're gonna be involved in your team.
Mhm.
Maybe post that so they're aware of things.
Mhm.
They're aware of the master plan, they're aware of what the options are, they're aware of the steps to take,
Yep.
you know, so everybody's clear. And then maybe we invite you back for one more if that's acceptable. I don't,
Yeah.
or like a public working meeting, like kind of what we did in March.
And I think that would be, and just looking at the timelines of the grants too, you know, optimistically, we'll have some feedback by mid-September timeframe of where these grants have landed.
Mhm.
Ideally, it would be nice to schedule that meeting, you know, kind of selfishly, right after we win, you know, right after we receive a
I
grant,
don't disagree with
So
that.
that sounds
Good optics.
you know?
It's
Yeah.
good positive reinforcement for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We can talk about it in our rec meeting, September. and Plan for in October.
that would be fine.
Okay,
That would be fine.
and that buys us some time to get some priorities
Yes.
down.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, next steps, number 4. I think we just did that.
Yeah.
Maybe we just did that. With the irrigation process, and we're talking about that, is that something we seek out to get quotes and that going forward, or is that something that would come through you guys?
It probably has to go,
Okay.
pardon me, probably has to go through design
Okay.
first.
Design for us?
You know, there
Yeah.
needs to be volume calculations taken, there needs to be locations, pump size, et cetera. You know, well capacity.
Determine where we're pulling
Probably need
from.
to test the well to see what the capacity of the well is. Why put all this money into something that isn't gonna support the house or the pump that we put in, or the footprint that we're gonna irrigate?
You know, and all of those become kind of the, you know, those are the things that keep you up at night.
Mhm.
Say, not having those answers, I'm real hesitant to put a dollar figure attached to that picture if it's not a really big number.
Right.
So, you know, for the purposes of the master plan, okay, we can easily put a, you know, square foot or square yard price against, you know, overseeding. And we can put a number against, you know, irrigating. But when it comes to kind of that asterisk of, we're making assumptions here,
Mhm.
that the yield of the well is sufficient for, you know, the needs.
That's never absolute. Yeah.
First word.
Don't even start talking about it.
Don't say assume ever.
Right,
These grant does design too.
yes.
It does,
Yeah.
okay, so I can just add the
In
design.
fact, you know what, I take that back. I'm fairly sure
I
it
think
does.
it does, but I just read it on Monday
I think
again.
steep does and
With
lots of
Mark.
it doesn't. I think lots of one that doesn't, but again, that's, I'd
I
have to.
think it does too,
Um,
so we can just do the design sheet part.
you know, so there will need to be, and again, I'd like to have that as part of the final doc for the master plan, is to say, we're putting a number against this.
Right, yeah.
Okay, I could very easily put a really big number against it and say, okay, we're covered for, you know, the worst case scenarios. Okay, you can put a number that says, you know, we're drilling a new well, we could, and, you know, service pumps, all that. You know, that number's not going to, you know, account for, yeah, you're gonna put a 500-foot deep well, and it's, you know, it's gonna come up dry, and then the price to frack it, and it's all, like,
Right.
it's just a rabbit hole that's, you know. It's
A
tough.
well with a holding tank that
Exactly.
solve that issue.
Exactly, you know, we could put, you know, a $20,000, you know, number against a well and pump, we could put that number against a 10,000 gallon holding tank, and then we can say, okay,
It's kind of small peanuts in the grand scheme of things.
there you go.
Yeah.
So,
And it would maximize our investment in the well.
Yeah.
If we were to do that.
I didn't say number.
I just needed.
so, and is that something?
Go to the RS means book, whatever you want, it's all public information.
Yeah.
So, and to that point though, is, you know, for Friday steep grant application, is it playscape? Is it, you know, field improvements as well, and, you know, and water service?
Well,
You
I
know,
would
what-
do maybe the playscape and maybe, I don't have a clue how much the irrigation is gonna cost as far as the design and then the implementation,
Because part of that too, you play the game of reverse engineering into that, knowing
Mm-hmm.
steep is $500,000.
yeah,
And having a price against the playscapes already,
Work
Yeah.
within your budget.
work within the budget and,
just do the design.
and do, you know, do up to 400
And then you can always piggyback on that later. You know, we don't, just because you stopped with an irrigation system doesn't mean you can't tie into it later.
Right.
You know, if you have the right design, and if you're saying people do that.
Yep.
Provisional,
Mm-hmm.
provisional, you know. For
Because
future,
if we have the design, if the guys have, like, there's other ways to work it too. If we have the design, then we can figure that out too. But I just don't know how much that would be.
Yeah, that's something, again, if that's, and if John's here tomorrow, he and
Yeah.
I can, yeah, he and I can wordsmith that too, is to say, you know, okay, you know, we can, you know, we can put a price very easily on the irrigation system.
Mhm.
We can then make the assumptions that the well's sufficient, we put a holding tank into the whole package and then say, yeah, you know, there's some unknowns here, but,
yeah,
Right, we have to go with something.
but,
pretty awesome. Good meeting. You guys have some work cut out for you between now and Friday. I'd offer to help, I'd offer to help, but I'm going on vacation too.
it's like, right now, Emily, Nicole and I are finishing a splash pad design for a steep grant, so in case you wanted a splash pad.
This is gonna be an easy one. We need water first. We need-
Yeah, that's the problem we got, folks.
You know, water falling from the sky, but nothing under it.
Yeah, probably.
That town gave me a week and a half, I thought it was tight, you're giving me 3 days? for this?
We're trying to think of other ideas for the steep grant, but it's just seemed like it.
Well, I think the playscape idea fits very well within that, and I'm not sure.
If we don't use the grant for it, we're gonna have to pay for it, like, soon, because it needs to be updated, so.
Yeah.
It just makes sense to,
Be careful with that one, right?
well,
How pay for it, how?
I know that's the thing, it would have to be like a
That's my-
capital project or
Yeah, well,
something.
if it's included in the master plan, is there really, I mean, we have.
Well, we
the-
either have to take down the old one, because it would be an insurance, it would be like an insurance liability if it's at its end of life, which is we're getting really close to. So either we don't have a playground.
We have a certified inspector on the recreation commission, you know.
We'll take it up on the hill. I think ours is a lot older than that one. Yes,
Yes, it is. Much of probably 30
Take
years.
the
older.
big brother hand me down. Love to see that big work up there.
They would. They would.
And do we relocate these playscapes,
We moved, well, those we really,
the new ones?
the new one would be in the.
Like we're saying,
Yeah.
out here, we would relocate it.
Right. So it'll be part of.
Start that part now.
Baby steps. The beauty of it being broken down like
Yeah,
it is. It makes sense when you can see each individual part and piece as opposed to,
absolutely. Yeah, that makes it so much easier. No.
well, I don't have anything else. I'm extremely happy. Personally, thank you for all your efforts.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yeah.
Layman's terms are much better. They really are. You really made it easy for us. I appreciate that.
Great, we appreciate it, we'll wrap this up shortly, and again, we can work together to come up with a date for that final.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know the dating specifically for, our next meeting. I want to say it's the 6th.
September 11th,
It is the 6th.
it is?
The first Wednesday.
Yeah, first Wednesday, yeah.
That's the 6th.
Oh, I thought you were talking about our meeting.
Well, no, this actually is the last one
Or we'll
for
be at a rec meeting.
the 6th is the
Yeah,
rec
rec
meeting. So now
Okay,
you know, between Jamie and Brian and myself, will bring it in front of the commission. Explain to them how things work. Tracy, you're more than welcome to be present for that,
As you.
you know, so you can help.
As you all are.
No, yeah, everybody is, you know, you're all, I mean, they're open meetings to the public anyway, so please come and you can, you know, fill in the gaps of what we may miss. And going forward, we'll contact Kevin and his crew and.
Yep.
We'll hopefully have another open forum again, you know, to maybe have 50 people sitting in this room with that lovely young boy asking all the questions. That was.
That's right, that's
You
right,
know,
Yeah,
yeah, no, absolutely.
that's awesome, be great.
It would be tentatively, you said first Wednesday of the month,
First Wednesday, yeah.
so October 4th would be
The one where you would be at.
Yes,
the one I'd be at.
Well, if you want to do it on the Monday, if you want to do it on the second, that's fine too, if that's easier for your schedule. Since you're sticking to Monday evenings.
It looks like the fourth would be the best.
Okay.
I'm committed on that Monday, so fourth
Okay.
would work.
Okay.
So I will put that down as a tentative.
And
And go from there.
post our rec meeting, we can confirm, is that too short a notice for you? Okay,
Nope.
Okay.
Perfect.
anyone have any comments? Across the board? You know? Paul, I haven't heard anything from you tonight.
I know. I've just been listening and observing.
Thanks for your help.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just love this document.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. With these, I think we can adjourn.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thanks for, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Interested to know if this connectivity grant, like when. I'm very interested.
Yeah.
We've had